You know, the world turns purple if you're not correct.
That's right. All right, I'll call the meeting to order, 6 p.m. We'll pledge allegiance. What you want it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Announcements. Select Board will meet the following dates. Regular meetings 6 p.m. July 27 and August 10th, 2009. Work sessions prior to the regular meetings will start at 5 p.m. All of the above meetings will be held in Town Hall unless otherwise posted. Weather observations for the month of June are posted in the front lobby of Town Hall. U.S. Census Bureau employees will be visiting every housing unit in every neighborhood through July of this year. They will wear official identification badges. Okay, we now want to, we need approval on the June, approval of the June 22nd work session minutes. Well, let's do the
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the work session minutes for June 22nd.
Second.
We've moved and seconded to approve the work session minutes for June 22nd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. And now we need the minutes approved of the June 22nd regular meeting, which are extensive. Does anyone have any comments, or has it read through them? I read them. It's a verbatim. We had a lot of visitors. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve the 22nd.
Second.
Made and seconded. Those in favor of approving the June 22nd minutes? Aye. Opposed? The minutes of the June 22nd meeting are approved. Agenda review. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to the agenda or alter? Paul? Nothing? No. Excuse me. There being no reviews, appointments. Do we have appointments tonight? No.
No.
Updates, correspondence. None. Land use permit.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I could either do the updates on Main Street now or...
Yes. Yeah. Can you bring us up to speed on this is the issue of the timing, et cetera.
Right where it stands now, I think as we speak, or a few minutes from now, traffic will start to flow on Main Street today. We were able to grind from Anderson's Bakery south to Rite Aid. The whole road has been ground. It's ready to be asphalted. What will take place now is 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll be grinding from Anderson's Bakery to the crosswalk out here at Court Street. And by 8 o'clock in the morning, we expect all that grinding to be done so that when the merchants come in at 8 o'clock and open up their stores, all grinding in town will be done, traffic will be flowing, and then the intent is to come back here at 8 o'clock at night and do all the asphalting, and when anybody comes into town on Wednesday morning, the job will be complete. The job went really well today. We didn't hit any obstructions in the roadway. There wasn't any delays with no water box covers, any drainage issues, any covers in the road that we didn't expect. and hit. None of those things happened. Big part of that had to do because of Highway spending the last couple of weeks out there searching with metal detectors and everything else and raising all of those particular items and marking them. Did a real good job there. What will happen during the daytime when people start seeing some asphalt trucks entering town, not to panic. What's going to happen is they're still going to pave from Rite Aid south to the Ashland Bridge. They don't know how far they're going to get tomorrow, but they want it to be in the area so that when they come back at night to pave, all the equipment will be here. And so there also won't be any cold seam located in the downtown area. So tomorrow you will see asphalting being conducted from Rite Aid to the Ashland Bridge, which means there'll still be some detouring of traffic on Route 3 from Rite Aid South. And the state will, along with a couple of our police officers, I guess will take care of.
Parking will be allowed on Main Street.
We're going to see in the morning how much equipment still has. There's some small areas that have to be worked out. There will be passage of traffic. There'll be 2 lanes of traffic, and
you'll be able to park
it'll be left up to the police department and the police chief to determine about parking.
All right. Does the chief have any comments on that? Steve? I'm talking about the parking on Main Street from after they finish the planing out here on the other side of the common. Will you allow parking on Main Street all the way down to Rite Aid? And until what time?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
They were not sure late at night. They had some small detail work to do. They had some cleaning up around some of the drainage, storm drains.
Yeah.
If that is all completed tonight and they don't need to do it tomorrow, there's a possibility to be able to park in there.
What time would you get the cars out tomorrow night?
Well, they're going to start paving at 8 o'clock. That's at 8 p.m.
So drop dead.
We probably start around 5:30, 6 o'clock, let people know that there's no more long-term parking.
Okay. Yeah, I think it should be understood the reason for the paving at night is because the state, I think, has in excess of 1,000 miles of road to pave instead of 250, which they originally anticipated. And as a result, the paving, the mills are open 24/7.
What caused that to happen was all the rain that we've gotten over the last 3 or 4 weeks created quite a backlog.
Yeah.
That in turn had the asphalt factories have to work 24 hours a day now, and so there would be no cost. Right, no extra cost to any of the towns to be able to asphalt at night.
All right. Do we have any visitors? There is...
No. No.
Well, do we have, okay, under other business we have...
It's on the second page.
Okay. No, I've got the second page. It's just... all right. We have approval of purchase orders. Did we go through that? That file's right there. So that's all done. Did you give those to...
Nope.
Darrell and John?
Give me a pen.
Okay. Okay, committee reports. Valerie.
Yes, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting. Wanted to bring up that their annual golf tournament is going to be on September 23rd at the White Mountain Country Club, and it's going to be a 4-person team scramble. Registration forms are available online, as well as additional information at the Chamber's website under events. And also the Plymouth local merchants have really got their Shop Local campaign going strong. They've got 35 businesses that are involved in it already, and they've got a number of the Shop Local cards that have been sold. The 25th of July, they're planning a number of downtown events with sales, sidewalk sales, music. They're going to have the Celtic Odyssey, the Irish band that many of you may have heard in other venues. It's also going to be Model A Day around the Common with sidewalk sales and specials and games on the Common. So if anybody is going to be in town on Saturday the 25th, please drop by downtown and support the local merchants.
Thank you. Butch?
Nothing? Nothing.
Earl? I have, briefly, the Rotary. They're starting the cover on the amphitheater walkway. They're going to start construction of it tomorrow. I think the material was delivered today, and we gave them a permit, which was a formality because it's town property. So it's other than that, I don't have anything to report. Casino, I missed you. You want to discuss a purchase order for the overhead doors?
As you know, we're doing some much-needed repairs to the station. Right now, the construction started work on the roof and wall work that's going on. The other thing that was in dire need of replacement was the bay doors, 4 of them. The initial price when we first looked into it was upwards around $10,000 for the replacement of all 4 of the old wooden doors, all the hardware and everything that goes along with it. The only thing that is original that will stay is the motors themselves. But with things going the way that they have, the company sharpened up their pencils. We put the word out to 3 different door vendors, and we got 2 quotes back in the overhead door options incorporated out of Meredith, who, by the way, they service all the doors. They're there in a very timely manner, and we've had quite a few breakdowns. They came in at $6,978, which is like $300 less than the overhead door company of Concord.
Yeah, you originally estimated, what, $2,000 a door?
$2,000 a door, and it was going to be around $10 grand for the whole thing, so that's close to a $4,000 savings.
Okay. Any comments? Move to approve the purchase order for $6,978 for 4 overhead doors for the fire department. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The purchase order is approved.
I believe you have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Casino.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go back to updates when we have a moment.
Okay.
Just wanted to mention that we met with Time Warner this evening, and I think we're starting to make progress for the citizens in the town. But I'd like to give at this point a telephone number out to a contact that any citizen out there that feels that they are not receiving the proper service or nobody is responding back to their telephone calls. And we will get this telephone number on the website, and we will also, I'll talk to Jamie about running this telephone number on Channel 3 and Channel 20 so that people will have that. And they can just ask for Shelley, and the telephone number is out of Maine, 1-207-594-2249. Extension 2177. It's 207-594-2249. Extension 2177. Just asked for Shelley, and she's really interested in the kind of calls that where people have been constantly calling and feeling that they're not getting any response or even being able to get anybody to answer their calls back. If that doesn't work, then I would want the individual to call me here at the town hall, because I have another telephone number that I would contact for that individual taxpayer.
Okay, thank you. Other business. There's Sherry Ray and Kathy Bentwood to discuss welfare issues. Would you like to come up, please? Hi.
You know, this is Charles Clarkson, and he's the chair of the Bridge House Board.
Good evening.
How are you?
It's great
I
to
work
be
for
here.
him.
You do?
And we all
I
work
work
for the
for the
homeless,
board.
actually.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Sherry Ryer is not here. I can give it my best effort to fill in on her behalf,
All right. This is regarding,
which means I guess I'm going to have to start. Kathy? This is into regards to invoices that we've received from you due to pass.
You and 32 other towns in the
Right.
state.
Right, we realized that we weren't the only ones that received invoices on people that have stayed at your facility, and the problem that we have, even through our auditor, in paying these type of invoices are, the norm is for an individual before they go to your facility, they go through me and the welfare officer, and all of the names on those lists did not go through me or the welfare officer. And when we send somebody to you, after we've cleared them, we send them with a voucher to you to make sure that you do receive payment. And what happens in a case like this, we went through the list of names. We don't know any of the individuals on that list of names. And for me to approve that kind of money, and we're talking a substantial amount of money, we're not even knowing the individuals. What happens in the screening process, when they have to go through me and Sherry Ryer, our welfare officer, we do know the people that play the system,
Right.
so-called. And before you even have to deal with a situation like that, we try to take care of that for you and
Right.
send them off in another direction. But in this particular case, since most of these things are retro 1 year ago, we can't even catch up with some of these people to even know why they went there. And
Yeah, and we've never really billed towns, I think, and I don't know when the last time we received a voucher from Plymouth was, but it wasn't in anyone's recent memory.
right, but when we do send somebody there, I will not send anybody there without a voucher.
Okay, so, but you're expecting normal behavior, that they're going to go through a system. And when people are experiencing homelessness, what you and I think would be the normal thing to do is not what they often do. They often just show up on our doorstep, and we can't turn them aside.
No, I understand all these things,
This past
Kathy.
year, 2 were released from the prison. They did their time, and the prison dropped them off in our driveway, in the driveway of the Bridge House.
I understand what you're going through, Kathy, and trust me, since you've come on board, I believe you have been doing an incredible job. What's happened in my department, not only have we not budgeted to pick up
Right.
this type of new invoice, what also is happening is our welfare budget is 50% over what we budgeted for.
Right.
Now we get these invoices, and we too are being burdened by the state in the exact same way that you're burdened by the state, and we're contesting this at this moment. When somebody comes to the courthouse down by the river, and they're assigned an attorney, and they are found not guilty. I'm not going to say they were found innocent. I get a call here at the town hall, and I am liable to have to get that individual taken out of the town of Plymouth. And I have to purchase bus tickets that go up to the range of $85 to get somebody to Chinatown in New York, Pennsylvania. We've sent them everywhere. Being the argument by the court-appointed attorney, this individual, even though they weren't found guilty, you do not want this individual staying in your town overnight. So it's to your best interest to put them on a bus and get them out of town. I've always tried to throw it back into their lap. It always stays here at the town hall. And in the event, and as you know, we do not have a bus that runs on the hour every hour. What happens many times is I also have to pay to put this person up. So that alone is, we are looking into that to get some kind of reimbursement from the state. So between being 50% over budgeted in our welfare department And rightfully so. There are cases, as you know, that we have to mandatorily handle that come across our doorstep, even though our budget is so much in the red.
I do think there ought to be a collaboration between welfare and the Bridge House. We have had people, we run a pretty tight ship. We have had people, and I'm told by staff, this past year they know of 6 people who left the Bridge House because of our rules and came to get a voucher to stay in a motel. I think the Bridge House's responsibility is to find another shelter somewhere for these folks, and we will transport them to another shelter. There's an outreach worker, we can do that. I would like to avoid that from happening in the future, but we can only do that if we can have communication. I was writing up something tonight that was going to go in our rules, and everybody coming to the Bridge House has got to work on healthy independence. Part of that is signing waivers that allow us to talk to welfare about them. So if we say to somebody, I'm sorry, but you've 2 strikes and you're out, and you're positive for X, you're going to have to leave tomorrow, I can call Sherry and let her know that this person was here, had ample opportunity to, to make the Bridge House a good fit and chose not to. I don't think the town should have to pick up that, but I can only do it if we can have some type of...
And I definitely agree. And all I'm trying to say tonight, Kathy, and I know Sherry's not
You're
here.
trying to get out of sending me money.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I am. That's my job to save the tax. But what I would like to do is, things have changed since you've come on board, and I've alluded to that effect when I started. I think that I have to be a very important part of that communication process and can't be left out. And I can see us forward. I just can't. I can see us definitely going forward and helping correct this problem. I can't see us going retro.
But how much money are we talking about?
Well, if I may just step in here for a second and just perhaps frame the issue by distributing a fact sheet to the Select Board. What Kathy has done and staff have prepared is an analysis of the past 2.5 years. Okay, which analyzes the, as you can see, the number of Plymouth residents who were housed by Bridge House in 2007, 2008, and 2009 year to date. That's the first little chart you see there. And as the numbers clearly indicate, and we do have the detail to support the numbers by individual, by date of entry, by town. We've just included Plymouth for this analysis. But you can see in 2007, we housed 32 residents for a total number of nights of 2,356. 12 people from Plymouth in 08 for 422 nights, and 2009 year to date, we've housed 5 residents for 197 nights. What we've done in that final column on the bottom is converted our numbers to fiscal year numbers for your convenience. And we have housed 9 individuals from Plymouth for a total of 463 nights. The column below that, the chart below that, just shows the same time periods, the same number of nights, and just assumes an average cost per night to the town of Plymouth of $40 to house these folks who Bridge House housed at no cost to the town. And at that rate, you can see that would have cost Plymouth $94,000 in 07. $17,000 roughly in 08, $7,800 in 09, and year-to-date $18,500. So I think what Kathy and I would like to do is just, if nothing else, leave you with the thoughts that Bridge House has been in business for 20 years providing homeless shelter and education and support to folks who have just found themselves in adverse situations. We've provided the service to Plymouth residents, as we've stated here. We believe we've saved the town the numbers, or some portion of these numbers that we've disclosed here. And finally, we took a look at RSA State Law 165, which states that anyone who is poor or unable to support themselves shall be relieved and maintained by the town or city. And I think what's operative here is that I think RSA 165 says that the town where the applicant is physically present has the initial responsibility for providing assistance. The statute goes on to say that the town then has the right to negotiate with the town that they deem the person is actually from. But that's sort of a technicality at this point. So I don't know where we go from here, but
I would like to just say one thing, though.
Certainly.
Thank you for organizing all of that. When I sent the bill, the invoice to the town of Plymouth, our fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th, so it wasn't capricious. That was within our fiscal year, and I just looked at who said they were from Plymouth for that fiscal year, and I think they sent the bill out in March or April. And I'd like to thank Plymouth for being one of the towns that did not call and scream their head off at me over the phone, because I did get really screaming telephone.
No, I really don't feel that way, Kathy, and I'm going to tell you why. Counterpoint, when I came on as town administrator, and I think this board knows that one of my goals was to get a grip on our welfare situation. And I realized nobody could get a grip on this particular year. But going by your own statistics here, from 2007, we've gone from 32 down to 9, and we've gone to from a dollar cost to you or the town, with using your own numbers again, from $94,240 down to $18,520. So I believe we're working well together, Kathy, and I think we've come a long way. All I'm trying to say is, if I had gotten to view those 9 cases, it might not have been 9. And it's just tightening up what we've already been doing.
So what do you suggest? Should I just send an invoice every 3 months to the town of Plymouth from the Bridge House with...
I would like to suggest that this time, because Sherry Ryer's not here, that you and I and her sit down and go over the best methods to tighten this up a
As long as
little
you
bit more.
don't expect people experiencing homelessness to show up and do what seems logical to the rest of us.
No, I deal with them with my own help program, and you know that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've been able to find ways around this, and we just have to be very careful in these economic times that we need to save the money that we have for the people that truly do deserve it.
Well, you and I are going to, because this is tough stuff. Yeah, this is, the deck isn't, it's not a level playing field for any of these.
No, I realize, I know what you're going to say, Mr. Brown, but it's, if I don't even get to meet them.
So we're obligated by law to pay, right? So
We're obligated by law to pay if we cannot prove that they don't fit into what they're claiming.
right.
And they don't always...
I strictly care about the budget. I'm just a steward of the budget. So
I'm just saying, what I've been able to find is they have had pockets full of money in accounts.
Right, and it looks like the more you guys have worked together, the more these numbers
And
have gotten.
that's the direction I want to continue
We
to
need
go.
a way for next year to have a way to project up, because from a business perspective, you'd say you spend 50% more, something's wrong with the projection, or something's wrong with the management process of the money. So I don't know which, but the communication channel's a great way to figure out.
We have never gone over budget before. What happened this particular year is the economy fell apart, and we ended up with, and nobody, remember, we have to turn in that figure a year and a half.
But as well, under advisement from the Bridge House, they could probably have told us what the ratio would have been. I don't know how that goes. Quarter by quarter seems a little too short for a municipal cycle, but by the same token, we can probably they can probably give us a better idea of what the poverty
And that's what I need.
situation is.
I need to know when September, we start entering a new figure into that block again.
Yeah.
And we have to start trying to project what we anticipate is going to happen next year.
Well, would the select board consider having us as a line item on that? Just to vote on it?
Would that be separate from the welfare?
Yes, then we wouldn't bill. I mean, we get X from Rumney every year. We haven't had someone from Rumney in a long time. They just recognize the value of the program, and we just get a check from them every year.
It's something that we could look into, and I have to look into.
Just have a fixed amount.
That's
And,
right.
and all I'm trying to say is I value anybody's advice, and anybody else that wants to look into that crystal ball that I have to look into every year. The more eyes, the better.
Sure. And let me just, if I may, just make a suggestion. We could take perhaps exclude 2007 as being an outlier. And if we just look at 2008 and 2009, and average the number of residents, the number of nights between those 2 years, we're coming up with something in the ballpark of 300 nights times, what are we charging, Kathy, the town, $17
$17 for adults and 10 for children.
Yeah, so just for the purposes of budgeting, to give you some sense of what the data has been recently, you can probably assume safely that number will increase, given the economy and all that. And we certainly recognize your point about the need to kind of work more closely together.
And the other reason why we need to work closer together, you're seeing a lot of people that normally would have been sent to you in the past that we don't send in your direction, because they really don't belong down there because of because of the things that they've committed. And I don't want to get into some of those situations, but there are crimes that they've committed that you would just not want these people down at the Bridge House. So we've been able to house them in other places so that they don't even impact you. So we're trying to help you behind the scenes.
Well, anyway, I'd like you to consider 10,000 is what I would suggest, and we would just live with that, and hopefully over time it would balance out. There could be years when we wouldn't use them, and other years where it could cost us 20 or 30,000 to have somebody from Plymouth.
How does this fit with a nonprofit? There's a legal obligation there, so I don't know if it fits as something underneath the nonprofit committee's oversight.
I don't know. Maybe if we can give 6,000 to the Humane Society, maybe we can be better for human beings.
Those are dogs.
Just a thought.
I guess we're just going to have to...
We give 10,000
I
to
need
the
to talk to
senior
our
center.
auditor, our attorney, and see how we can work it into the nonprofits versus... We know we are going to pay out dollar amounts like this whenever we send people to the Bridge House
And
anyway.
it expands the authority of the nonprofit into the welfare line item. That's kind of...
No, I think we have to keep that particular committee out.
Yeah.
I really think this has to be between myself, the welfare officer,
Are there any
and...
limits to the, there doesn't seem to be any limit to the amount of time that we have to provide the service.
It goes back onto the laws that Mr. Brown brought up too, that there are, once they do fit into the charity, there are laws that kick in
But the
that
Bridge
we
House
have to.
imposes, you have your own code as well, right?
Yeah, we have rules, and people have to abide by the rules, but we also recognize that we see a lot of mental health problems, and there aren't services, or there are very limited services for mental health. We see people who should probably be in assisted living. There's almost nothing available for somebody who needs that scenario. We have someone who's 71. We're not going to make her go out and work. We have someone else who might be retarded. They're not going to be able to go get a job. So, we might be keeping some people for a year to 2 years. You're not going to see that bill reflected to the town if we just became a line item.
The only trick
Don't have
there...
affordable housing. That's the other
The only trick
problem.
there is with the individuals who are, for whatever reason, wouldn't qualify for that because of knowledge you have, they're still coming out of the welfare line item if they need to be housed and separately from.
Yeah.
So it could get more complicated if you have a housing being handled by two different...
Well, I'm fine with the one line the way it is, as long as there's enough money in that line to be able to send them
I know.
to the Bridge. It's trying to figure out what
To
that
make it a
line's
fixed
going
cost
to
would
be.
be a nice thing.
Your
It's the
cost
problem
is $17 per adult and 10 per child.
To turn it into a fixed cost would be nice.
Well, no, it's higher than that.
Yeah, actually, our cost per head per night, if we take the total number of people we house, the total number of nights, people nights, if you will, and divide that into our total budget, it comes to something north of $40, probably closer to $50 a night. So we're just
trying to make it livable.
Yeah, I mean, the town is actually getting a discount, if you will, from what it actually costs us to do that.
So you derive funds from other towns and
We have
federal
a
grants.
budget that's about $240,000, and we get about $140,000 from state grant and aid. And then we have to fundraise the additional $100,000 privately and through foundations. So
And I'll just add,
trying to meet that budget.
and I'll add at this time, I'm sure Kathy knows that as far as towns are doing and going 50% over, we're on the low end of towns our size because we found, because we're hubs, just like other towns our size, many people have been coming over the border this particular year, and Kathy knows this.
Yeah.
And towns that are in a calendar year versus a fiscal year, they are really getting creamed this year because they're already 50% over and they still have half a year to go. So it was, nobody could have projected the economic times that we were going to be facing. And the reason why they're going to go over by more than 50%, we caught one bad winter during this fiscal year. They're going to catch 2 winters in their fiscal year during bad economic times. So they've got another winter to go through before their budget ends.
I do know there's a precedent for putting shelters as a line item. I got a call from a welfare officer in Keene who said, we can't send you any money for the people you house because we already support Southwestern Shelter down here. That's the line item when we give them money. I Okay.
We'd like to make this a fixed cost. I think more than anything.
Yeah,
we'd like to
I
make this
don't
fixed
see it
cost.
as a nonprofit committee
But if
issue,
the,
because that's
The problem is that maybe a lot of the
fluid.
welfare stuff is not a fixed cost. If the courthouse is down there and you've got the Good Samaritan laws, you're
Yeah,
obligated to always pay no matter, if somebody is in need of transport or whatnot, you've got to pay. So there's a degree of this that will always be variable. But the Bridge House existing there as a separate entity provides us a way to make it a fixed cost. which we
And
don't-
what we're also in the process of doing is trying to get the state to help us out financially somehow, because
Or it's broken out, does that help us? If it's broken out, is it
we're
easier?
not getting any, we're mandated to follow these laws.
Yeah.
And the state makes us follow these laws, and I realize we have to have these laws. We're having an awful lot of people sent in our direction that's nowhere near our district.
And just the presence of the courthouse is going to make that an increasing. Yeah.
But I think a line item is a much more appropriate way to deal with this, rather than a nonprofit grant, which could fluctuate violently depending on the...
It is, but it doesn't fully capture what the whole issue. So you still have people you're housing that are outside of
Yeah.
that line
That's the
item.
only thing.
And the only caveat that I put out there is, and then we might have other organizations feel that they fall underneath the same guidelines of the Bridge House and saying, no, I think I deserve my own line item also.
But it provides us, it's a way, it's like the Humane Society thing where we, we outsource that and it's a fixed cost, but there's a lot of overhead we don't have to take for that. So when gas increased, we didn't have to pay them, we didn't pay any more. So this provides a way for something that could, if we owned that responsibility, 94 to 18, that's, just that fluctuation would be problematic, so.
What I'm saying, it's more talking to the Department of Revenue and identifying the Bridge House as our outsource to take care of a particular problem. No different than our police department has to use Grafton County Jail or Haverhill or something like that. We would identify the Bridge House as our outsource for handling these type of cases, and sit down with Sherry and Kathy and determine what those types of cases are. Just like I said, we no longer send certain cases in their direction. It was putting a burden on them, and they really shouldn't have been able to be sent there because there were other organizations that actually handled those kind of cases. So the town shouldn't have had to pay, and the Bridge House shouldn't have had to pay. And we've been very successful at sending those to other places that deal with those types of cases. And they're just suited to deal with that type of case.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we investigate putting a line item for the Bridge House in the budget.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that we provide a line item. We haven't decided on the amount, so that's something that...
Or just if you can, just to see if you can do that.
We're going to start the investigation process, and
investigation.
that'll include what the dollar amount would be.
Do I have any comments? John? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will go to
Abstentions?
the line item.
Do you want to get abstentions?
No, do you have an abstention, or you?
That was aye.
I didn't say anything, so are you presuming I'm an abstention?
I believe it's an abstention. I believe if there's no, if somebody doesn't vote, you don't have
Any
to have an
abstention?
abstention. It just means that it's a no vote.
Well,
An abstention that means a no vote.
Oh.
so the motion is passed.
Very good.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
I have a question. We're doing our Community Old Home Day on July 25th. Is this the group I have to get permission to put the sandwich board up downtown?
Park and Rec. Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, thanks.
All right, the next item is the Skateboard Park Plymouth Limited. Have you formed an LLC? Glenda, how are you?
I'm good.
You want to tell us about this thing?
Yes. Okay. I'm Glenda Toomey, and this is Brian Dutile, and he's going to bring a proposal to you for the skateboard park.
I believe you all have a copy of this, but I'm just going to read it out loud anyway. As I said, Glenda said, I'm Brian Dutile, 6-year resident taxpayer of Plymouth, involved greatly with the Plymouth Youth Center downtown. The reason for me becoming a part of this board, this nonprofit organization, the Skate Park of Plymouth, is my oldest son has grown fond of skateboarding, as a lot of the kids at the youth center have and have been. And being a parent, I really would like to see a safe place for our kids to ride. So that's what brought me to the board. And so I'm just going to read our proposal informational piece. The Skate Park of Plymouth Ltd. is a nonprofit organization whose goal is the development of a public skateboard park here in town, formed in response to community support for the idea. We have about 1,000 names signed on a petition in support of a public skate park of Plymouth. A copy of the petition is right here. I have, if anybody wants to review it. Exploring the feasibility of a public skate park is mentioned in the master plan for Plymouth, and a skate park would also fit well into the Green Street and cultural development plans for Plymouth. We feel that a skate park would be an appropriate piece of a multi-generational, multi-use recreation area, and we encourage the town to pursue the idea. A skate park can not only benefit the youth of the area and give skateboarders of all ages a safe place to ride their boards, the community can benefit as a whole. Skateboarding can displace desirable activity, and a facility designed to attract athletic activity will attract athletes and discourage those who would use the facility for illicit behavior. Towns with skate parks can become weekend and even vacation destinations for families with young skateboarders, therefore bringing more visitors to Plymouth, which would have a positive impact on businesses. Until a permanent site can be designated and developed, SOP had intended to propose that a temporary wooden skate spot would be constructed on a municipal lot at the south end of Green Street. However, Matt Eddy, the owner of White Mountain Snow and Skate, who has acted as an advisor, much needed advisor and consultant to this project, met with Sharon Lane from the senior center today. It is now recognized that this could have a negative impact on their parking needs, and we no longer feel this place would be appropriate unless arrangements to accommodate the senior center's parking could be established and the skate spot could be made. We would, first choice would be at the south end of Green Street on the a town lot. It would be best to set up a skate spot on a municipal land in order to alleviate liability concerns. So we're asking the town for assistance to determine a location for the temporary skate spot. Municipal land is the ideal placement for a skate park because in RSA 507B, it provides liability protection to a municipality which provides a public skate park. We are also looking into the possibility of constructing the skate spot on privately owned land. The issue of liability complicates the matter. Insurance is available for nonprofit skate parks as long as the landowner can be covered. We could pursue this as an alternate. We would like to complete the temporary skate park as soon as funding can allow for, and hopefully have it built and being used this summer. In conclusion, we ask the town pursue the idea of developing a public skate park in conjunction with the Green Street plan the cultural development plan, and the master plan for Plymouth. And in the short term, please help determine a municipal lot that could be used for the temporary skate spot. This is what we have come up with, our board, with the help of Matt Eddy, and would like it to be considered.
What you're looking for from us right now is some kind of a municipal location for the piece of land.
Preferably, like we had stated, the south end of Green Street, there's a lot. As I said, Matt talked to Sharon at the senior center. She expressed concern about parking. We all have issues with parking, but we don't want to step on any toes either. So, just so liability is covered, a municipal lot would be ideal under state law. So.
What happened to the Alex Ray? When are you going to provide some?
It's also a it's also a option. However, communication has been little, and we're trying to move this forward fast as we can, so we can have a place for the skateboarders, kids, whoever, to come in and practice.
So did Alex withdraw he was going to provide?
Not
I can speak to that, Brian.
Go ahead. This is Matt.
I'm Matt Eddy from White Mountain Snow and Skate. I've been helping out with this. The reason we've kind of redirected from the private land is that the liability gets real complicated when a private landowner tries to do something like this. As good as Alex's intentions are, and how kind he is to let us pursue the idea on his lot, we kind of felt that it might be better if we could pursue a municipal lot. And before this morning, it seemed like the lot the town rents from water and sewer at the end of Green Street would turn out to be a good location for it as a temporary spot until we can work something out to find a permanent spot. I've been trying to keep an eye on it and gauge the usage of the lot just in my daily passings, and was under the impression that it might not impact what it's used for presently too much, but it seems like it may. So if we can't arrange to use that lot and not affect the parking situation for the senior center and anyone else that uses that area, we would like to pursue that lot. But because of recent information, we don't want to directly ask for it, but ask for the help to find a municipal lot. If we can manage on that location to arrange it, that'd be great. If it's going to cause too many issues, we don't want that, because we want the support of the whole community when it comes to a permanent site and a permanent skateboard park for the area.
What lot are we talking about?
First problem is, Mr. Chairman, there is a problem with the impact on the senior center and the traffic that we have down in that area. Second part, Matt, is it's not a municipal lot.
I was under the impression it was.
A lot of people are underneath the impression because it's the water company.
Right.
The water company is not
Completely separate entity.
I was under the impression, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, that Plymouth Water and Sewer District is a municipality.
No, they're a private entity.
So
our insurance umbrella will not umbrella you.
Because again, it's back to the private property issue with that lot. That is news.
What would be the effect on our liability insurance if we put something like this on a municipal lot? It's obviously going to impact it.
Larry Gibson and I went through this 10 years ago and couldn't get around it.
I believe the RSA may have been put into effect after that.
Right. But it still has to be a municipal.
But it has to be a municipal lot. The parking.
I'm familiar with the RSA.
Okay, yeah.
Has to be a municipal piece of property. This does not qualify as a municipal piece of property.
Which, like I said, I was led to believe otherwise, and that's why.
I told you that day, find a municipal piece of property, and we'll get you through this.
Right.
I did not realize that was the piece that you were looking at.
Right. Okay. And miscommunication.
That's where the water or the.
It's across from the
highway
senior
department and the sewage and all
across from
that.
the senior center.
Yeah.
That's water department property.
Yeah, John.
With it being on municipal land, if and when it might be there, who would maintain this park, so-called?
That would be all questions that you would want to ask as a board of directors, and I'm sure Park and Rec would want to be involved.
And the members of the skate park of Plymouth, the people that have come together to try and get this to happen, would be willing to organize volunteer crews to maintain the park. It's on the second page of the proposal. Maintenance inspections would be necessary, and frequent or routine maintenance if necessary. We could work to provide that. Trash removal, all that could be the responsibility of the skate park group, because we're the ones asking for this, and we would work with town.
And don't get, Matt and Glenda have been working on this at least 2 years, if not longer. Brian and I have been trying to work with them, and it wasn't until today that I found out about that piece of property. We were helping them trying to acquire a piece of property on the other side of the sewer plant going south, past the Green Street sewer plant. Main reason being for any skateboarders in transit, if they decide to ride their board there, they would be coming in from the other direction. They would not be going down Green Street and in front of the senior center, or where the highway department trucks are traveling or anything like that.
For long term, I know that the skateboard park in Laconia is in the police station, right next to the police station in Laconia. And as we develop maybe up towards the fire station, police station development up there, there might be something up there eventually. There might be a piece of land up there.
Yeah, I mean, we're really here, especially now with the new information about the lot on Green Street, that obviously now off the table, but we're really here just to present the idea to the town, to the community, that there's a lot of support for the idea of a skateboard park, and those plans that were mentioned, that Brian mentioned, I think when you take them all together, you can see that a skateboard park could be a good piece of a bigger park. We're not just asking that you build us a skateboard park for the town, but to include it in planning for developing. From what I understand, there is a plan for developing Green Street along with a recreational use type of idea. So we believe that it could fit in well with that. And any other municipal lot, obviously, would be an ideal spot. So that's why we're here, just to put it out there that we're looking for help with this. Our short-term plan keeps changing, and we do have the backup plan to approach Alex about his land. He has given us the okay to do that, and we can pursue that. It's just the liability that deters us. It gets complicated with the private landowner, but there is insurance available that we could look into and purchase and cover ourselves and cover Alex, and continue to press forward with the town in order to find something permanent.
My concern with the police department, that neck of the woods, is the kids coming and going on Route 3 with no sidewalks and et cetera, et cetera. And I think you got a dangerous situation.
Well, theoretically, we still have no skateboarding. The way these parks are supposed to work is they're supposed to be brought by their parents and picked up by their parents. You're not supposed to use your skateboard in transit to a skateboard park like my foster kids used to do.
Yeah.
If Alex Ray were to take that, just theoretically, if he put that land in trust, would that become part of the municipality? So
if he gave it to us.
I don't think we're prepared to ask that. He's been generous to let us pursue it.
If a person put land in trust.
Because with the ideal situation that we're missing,
the insurance
here
would be covered.
And I'm sure you're familiar with Ashland's skateboard park. I'm sure that yours would be similar to something like that.
Be better.
I knew it would be better. But anyway, they've got the ideal situation. They've got good visibility. They've got the town park right there. They've got the softball field, the Little League, the tennis courts, nice location.
That's like
no surveillance, no police cruisers going back and forth, easy visibility. It's not like us trying to take it and stick it up in Fox Park area, and then we have, we've got more patrolling to do, vandalism. We don't have something ideal like the fields that you're talking about that we could open up a soccer field and a baseball field and tennis courts with a skateboard park on the off-season. It would be nice. So what Brian and I have been up against on the wall is trying to help find a piece of municipality property that fits their needs and don't have a bunch of cars parked in the middle at the same time.
Do we know how that trail, that bike trail and hiking trail, how that is processed?
Down at that property?
Down, going up between the river and the senior citizen, the heritage trail.
How it's maintained? Or
no, it's not.
You're asking me what kind of condition it's in?
Trying to develop that.
Well, we've been trying to develop that for years. About the most we've gotten out of that is poison oak. It's it's really not used that heavily, John.
Have you looked across the bridge in Holderness? Is there any land over there?
That'd be
There's a lot
nice.
of land, but I don't know if.
Well, that's what we ended up the last time in the Holderness. What happened the same way it took Larry and I 3 years to finally get to this point. And when we got everything approved, then there was no place to put it. And we ended up putting it in the Holderness parking lot, which is where the ice skating rink is going to be. It worked out ideal for a couple of years because we had the lights there. PSU umbrellaed the liability part for us, which was a good deal. And the kids grew older and the parents lost interest, and there was no maintaining of the skateboard park, and eventually the ramps became no good. And
that would be my problem as far as this voluntary maintenance. And then if it was on municipal land, I would assume the town of Plymouth would have to take it over.
The only other problem that we also found out at that time is, in particular to Plymouth, a lot of the skateboard riders just weren't at that particular time looking for a skateboard park. Skateboards were being used as a means of transportation, especially the longboards. So it wasn't really what the kids were looking for at that time. I don't want to speak on what the times, we're talking 10 years ago. But at that time, skateboards was more of a means of transportation than they were recreation.
Next to the Rotary, the state issue, what's the status of that building next to the roundabout?
The status of that building at this particular time is they're considering taking down the first half, putting it on the market for around $240,000. The part where the bagel shop is.
How large is that lot?
It was 22 feet.
Okay.
The slab would end up being 22 feet, but not.
What, 40 deep, maybe?
Right.
Yeah.
That would be a real danger.
I think we're just going to be adding a lot of kids around a Rotary with skateboards.
It's flying off the top of one of the ramp.
So you don't really know of any piece of property in Plymouth?
I can't think of any right off at all.
Again, if we could just put it out there that there's a lot of support in the community for this, and we would appreciate the help of the town to follow through and make this happen. Long term, like a permanent site. In the short term, if anyone has a suggestion for where we could put this structure, temporarily, and get it off by winter time.
Anything on the school properties?
I was going to say, how about the middle of the football field?
That's probably the next place we might go is to the schools.
No, they wouldn't.
No, they already said,
They wouldn't receive
Cornfield
a
at
skateboard.
the famous cornfield.
Well, I can say that Miriam, Brian, and myself are going to continue to go through our tax cards and look and see what we have available. We're looking for those little half acres that we have found that we have here or there that we really don't have a particular use for that might fall in that category. But
How about the guy who owns the building on Highland Street that just came down?
You need it pretty good size.
Mr. Keefe?
It's a longer-term solution, but you might want to start thinking about the possibility of approaching our congressman when the Forest Service relocates fully to the new building.
Oh,
There you
yes, I
go.
know about that.
There's going to be a nice
Right on
piece of
Highland.
property that may be given to, if a municipality has the right pull, might be an option.
At the Rotary Club meeting last Wednesday, there was a forester there, and they talked about that piece is going to come up for sale, the Highland Street. As soon as they're building a new headquarters, I think, in Campton.
Right. But I think there's a history in the federal government that if a municipality presents the right case to it, sometimes
Yeah, you get it for
transfer
nothing.
property.
That's an idea. Of course, you'd have a building to tear down.
Or that becomes a locker room,
That's right.
extension of the youth center, who knows?
Local rugby club
Storage
or something.
facility, indoor skate park, climbing.
Full-on recreational facility, multi-use recreational facility.
Paul, you talked about Ashland's skateboard park. What did the town do for that park?
They put it, Glenda, right at, it's where they have their ice skating rink. It's in the corner of their ball field. And it's seasonal. In the spring and the summer and early fall, they use it as a skateboard park. In the wintertime, they flood it for an ice skate rink.
Did they put any money to the endeavor? or-
I haven't looked into it, Glenda.
You know, it might not be a bad idea for Glenda to approach the Forestry Service. The youth center would probably have a lot more truck when it comes to,
But would that,
that piece is going up for sale. That's what they said.
right, but even if they gave it to the town, you still would have that maintenance, and your park and
Yeah.
recreation would have to have more people and more responsibility, right?
Right. I don't know what you do.
Cost of town.
I don't know if you could put a skate park on that lot with the building on it. That's the other issue, you know, you might.
Something to look into anyway.
I just seem to have a problem with this, where a lot of these things have good intentions, and then all of a sudden the town of Plymouth ends up maintaining it. And we have to hire more people and everything, and it just, if it's completely separate, I don't mind the parks and stuff like that, but whether it's the flower gardens down in the middle of town or what, it comes right back to the town of Plymouth. And we're trying to hold the taxes down, we're trying to be as frugal as we possibly can. But every time something like this comes up, it just means the town of Plymouth has to maintain it after us.
The higher of the cost would be the maintenance and any utility fees or something like that. That might be equated into whether there's going to be a light bank out there or something like that. Liability insurance really isn't going to be that big of a factor, because it would be umbrellaed into our park and rec program and really wouldn't see that much of an impact.
The closer it is to downtown, it would help the tax base, the village? No?
No, it's
As far as foot traffic?
it's more of the location, and we'd want to do one of those department head impact studies. You know, I'd want the police department's input, I'd like the fire department's input.
And the other, if they did sell it to a private party, it would come back onto the tax roll, where by putting a skate park or something like that, it would not come back on the tax roll.
I just don't want to create another safety problem where the skateboard park works fine, but getting to the skateboard park becomes a nightmare.
As far as maintenance goes, that's part of why the nonprofit, we developed the nonprofit, is that would be also work into us as a group. Glenda and I at the youth center, a lot of the skateboarders come in and out of the youth center, and that's where I first heard about the want for a skate park, temporary, permanent, what have you. Part of what we've been trying to teach to the kids at the youth center is a sense of responsibility, and this would play greatly into maintenance and upkeep. If there was a repair, consulting Matt, how to safely repair it as a group headed by, the nonprofit skate park at Plymouth, under supervision of us. Being a youth.
I understand that, but I also understand what happened to the park over in Holderness. And unless your kid, I always say that the umpires and referees do not make half as many mistakes when your kid isn't playing in those sports. Same idea as a skateboard. As soon as your kid gets through that skateboard, you really don't have, unless you have an obligation, you really don't have any interest in that particular sport. So as time goes on, just like in Holderness, it just went to ruin. And there'd have to be some kind of a rules and regulations to stop that from doing that, and then all of a sudden it turns back into the town.
All right, I think we probably beat this horse enough. I think what we should do is, see if we can come up with some ideas, and if you can think of anything that might make sense. But at this point in time, I don't know what we're going to accomplish.
I just have one final question. Glenda, I had asked if you had looked into the youth center being able to umbrella it under your insurance policy. Did you ever have an opportunity to try to do it?
That would be a possibility.
Because that's where you save money. This is the obstacle that you're running up against now. You're looking at a skateboard park and you're looking how to insure that skateboard park. You will never be able to afford that. You need to have a youth organization that's already doing something and be umbrellaed by that insurance policy. That's where you save.
We're waiting on feedback about the insurance that's available to nonprofit skate parks. We're just waiting for a response.
I just think that the youth center would have a great opportunity to umbrella a skateboard on a private property under their insurance policy. That's where the savings would come in.
You got a question back to me?
Yes, sir.
Something that hasn't come up here on that Green Street area, it's the snow removal area for the winter. That's why the senior center can use the parking at lunchtime. But when there's snow removal, that's where it all goes, and they move it out. So any type of a park like that, they'd have to put it up in the spring and remove it in the fall. And right now, you take that, the senior center would be hurting because people wouldn't be able to pack for lunch. And that's a lot of people in senior center putting up, what, 30,000 meals this year, so
about 58,000. It would displace a lot of seniors. They'd have no place to park. It would be a huge...
Well, this is further down than that, isn't it?
No, this was concerns that Sharon had previous. I think we've determined that it's not going to be in that area.
Yeah.
We don't own it.
Okay, so that is...
We don't own it.
I think of Alex Ray's place, he's further, well, he's down the other side.
Yeah, there's 9 acres of Alex's land.
Yeah, we only need a small piece of it, and again, the liability and insurance for privately owned land is what keeps flip-flopping our direction. We're here tonight to ask the town for help, and for our short-term desires, we probably go back and look more into that once we have our answers about insurance. The cost might not be too great for this idea, because it wouldn't be a full year's worth of insurance. So we need that answer first before we can really look at that, but that would be something for short term. But again, we're really here just putting it out there that this is something that we believe should be further pursued by the town, and we're just asking for that.
But that land on Green Street, as you come into it from Route 3, that's a big concern?
Well, you come in from Route 3, what are you talking about, down next to that?
It's actually Railroad Street Extension.
Yeah, way down.
That dirt lot.
He's got 9 acres in there?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, it sounds to me, if Alex doesn't want to give the land away to a nonprofit, he's not going to allow this thing to happen because, he's got a lot of liability issues that...
Yeah, he's expressed-
He's deep pockets, as they say in the industry.
Well, I was looking for a piece for now to put a temporary thing in there that you can pick up and put away for the winter, because, you know, they need something now.
I don't know where that would be. I don't think the water department is interested. You might want to go to the water district meeting tomorrow night and approach.
Yeah, we had intended to.
We had intended to, but because we don't want to step on toes and
Well, I mean,
and plus with the new information, if they're not a municipality, then it's just, we
they're
shouldn't
a
bother.
separate,
Right.
they're a municipal entity, but they're completely separate from the
Right.
town. But they own all the land down there.
A good idea
Highway
that's not
Department,
working out.
They meet tomorrow night at 5:15.
It sounds like Paul, Larry, and Miriam are on it.
And Brian.
Yeah.
Brian.
All right, well,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Mr. Freitas, state of New Hampshire is going to transfer, what about a state skateboard park on your .2 acres?
I've actually got another item after that one too, Mr. Chairman. Another update. State of New Hampshire transfer of 2 acres of land on Route 25. That's a 30-foot right-of-way that does not belong to us. It belongs to the Department of Transportation. We received correspondence not only from the Department of Transportation, but also from Attorney Ross Dietrich in regards to the Vons wanting to purchase that 30-foot section of right-of-way for the amount, I believe, of $36,000. What the board has to do is, the Department of Revenue does give the town first right of refusal. And unless you can think of a reason why the town would want 30 feet of right-of-way to nowhere out in that particular area,
Other than the fact that we sell it to them for $36,000.
or like you said, make a skateboard park out of it, but
Yeah, so you want a motion from the board to
we officially have to send
decline the offer.
their attorney a letter saying that the town is going to not pursue to purchase that piece of property.
I make a motion that we decline the offer.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to decline the offer to purchase the 22.2 tenths of an acre, 30 feet wide. Is there any discussion further? Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Town will decline officially to purchase the...
The last update that I have, which is more of a clarification, I was sitting here remembering that there had been some word on the street that Lowe's was no longer pursuing coming into the town of Plymouth. And I just need to clarify that Lowe's continues to actively pursue to build their store exactly the way they have always been planning on doing so, in the same location, going through the same process. And I believe that process is another court appearance sometime in August. So Lowe's has not been taken off the table. They still remain exactly where they were.
Now, this court appearance is what, district or superior?
I would like to not get into that, Mr. Chairman, because I could make a mistake and call it something that it isn't.
All right. The Time Warner update.
We already did that. We're all set.
Is there any non-public?
We have one. It's just under A. You want to read the RSA?
Yeah. Okay, so we'd like a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91.
Public comments?
Yeah, public comment.
Oh, all right. Does anyone in the public have anyone here? Steve, Mr. Keith?
Left here. First, I just want to say thank you for the great showing today to support the Pakistani Institute. I thank the Select Board for attending. I think that was wonderful. I think it impressed them to see that kind of a turnout from our local government. So thank you very much for being there. And just second, one little last soapbox thing on skate parks. I was involved in the initiative quite a few years ago when my son was and I was so impressed with the athleticism of these kids, and I thought, wow, this is fantastic. And so there was a lot of energy. We toured the skate park in Meredith, and we wrestled with some of the issues you're all talking about, and I don't have any simple answers, only to suggest that there's a cost in some respects to doing nothing. You know, we have a youth that's somewhat disenfranchised. We have skateboarding going on in random spots all over the town that aren't appropriate, and there's no place to redirect that energy. So I would just encourage us to think about how can we empower the youth in a quality way and balance all the other issues that we have facing us. And the chief may or may not disagree with me, but if I was policing skateboarding, I'd rather have them all in one spot, if that's possible. And again, there are a lot of issues that have to be wrestled with, but I think they're worth wrestling with, and I think that it would be a statement of the community to our youth, because there are a lot of disenfranchised. And I even think there might be possibilities down the road for grants, and the opportunity even for university students who are studying, going into coaching in Parks and Rec kind of work, to do internships and a lot of things that we have yet to even perhaps scratch the surface of, because we don't have a project on the table. Sometimes if you build it, they will come is a concept worth pursuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes.
I would just like to do a personal observation, and that is, we talk so much about skateboarding and everything, but we don't put safety lanes for bicycles, which are a lot more bicycles, and bicycles have brakes and everything else. We don't consider putting a lot of money into the safety of bicycles and people that want to walk and jog, but we go to this specific sport and say we must have a skateboard park, and it just means a lot of maintaining and everything, where if you just put a safety lane for your bikes and for your walkers and runners, there would be no maintaining, there'd be no liability, there would be nothing, and they don't even think anything about doing something like that to a sport that is probably a lot older than skateboarding, and a lot more people do it. So if there's any, I think it should be a composite type of thing more than it would be just one sport.
I think that's a great thought to put on the table too down the road, John. Just remind everybody that we haven't banned bike riding, and we haven't banned jogging, and we haven't banned walking, but we have pretty much banned skateboarding.
All right.
Yes, Frank Miller, and as a citizen, taking the initiative to attempt to coordinate the Green Street project planning along with South Main Street area. There are about 9 projects that are slated in South Main Street in the next 5-10 years, of which one is the state multi-use trail connection to Bridgewater, along with Route 3 upgrade, which would include bike lanes, walk, and so on. If people remember, the Green Street program, which started back in 1995, is just about halfway completed. There's of the 9 items that were envisioned on Green Street, there's only 3 left. One is the development of the residual land left by the amphitheater south, the highway department area, and the Green Street crossing. That's the only 2 items left. The other issues with the Alex Ray property, and that's that lower Interville area there, there's quite a few items that are scheduled to take place, and it needs to be appropriately coordinated by the town through the town planner's office, and also coordinated and through public hearings with the citizens. But these items are all have been on the master plan since '84, our cultural arts plan 2001, the Green Street plan of 1995, and obviously a lot of them take a long lead time because there are multiple agencies and funding issues. But we are, or I am, along with other private citizens, are trying to coordinate a revised master plan process through the town planner's office to see what we can do with Green Street projects and South Main Street projects as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other quick thought, just I wonder if we ought to at least ask the question, what happens if someone leases a piece of property for $1 a year to the municipality? Does it then fall under the insurance umbrella of the municipality if you have sole proprietorship to it as part of that lease?
I don't know. I think
you don't have to answer it now, just something that if can put on the table.
Landowner still has a liability.
deep pockets.
If it's not owned by the town, it's not covered by the liability.
We know that, and we've asked that question. So.
Yes.
About the skateboard park, addressing Mr. Kelly's comments, the term skateboard park just covers the idea of the park itself. Obviously, skateboarders would be the ones using it, but those types of parks, or those types of recreation areas, will also bring bikers in, BMX bikers. Wouldn't be out of the ordinary to see mountain bikers there, but their bikes won't really fit to the scale of what is built. But BMX, skateboarding, rollerblading, inline skating, non-motorized scooters, all these would be welcome to enjoy the facility and participate in activity at the facility. So it wouldn't be specifically for skateboarding, but the term skate park is the term used. And the RSA includes all those other types of activities, and frankly, we could not allow for them. So just to address that, it's not strictly for skateboarders, it's for the youth who want to recreate in some form or another, not necessarily an organized sport or after-school program.
Thank you.
I didn't quite capture what Paul said about Fox Park. It seems to me that would be a perfect place for it, and I'm not sure I understood what your objection was. I mean, if there's a parking lot, their parents could come and drop their kids off. They wouldn't skateboard to the park. I mean, just things like that. Just.
It would still have to go through Park and Rec, and Park and Rec has its own concerns. Marcia, you'd have to find out from them. I know they have a different liability insurance program, and it's got to be run through the police department and the chief, and the feasibility of being able to patrol the area, vandalism. I know they have concern about the pieces that they're going to build, the ramps, etc., being vandalized at night. Is it going to take to patrol the area, or how much extra cost is going to come in there? There's going to be a lighting factor and stuff.
We already have a lot of equipment there and a lot of people in the park. It just seems like...
Yeah, but we really don't have the kind of things that get vandalized that much. No, vandalism isn't a big problem up at Fox Park. I think they're trying not to draw vandalism to Fox Park.
True, but use is a good... I'm not arguing, I'm just asking.
Which is why it's a question to be asked to the school board and not to the select board. Because in all honesty, Marcia, the school board has some places that
would be good.
Would be good, and I think it's more of a school board question.
All right. Is that it? No more public comment? We want to go into a non-public?
Non-public, you have to read the RSA or be...
We move to go into what a non-public under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, A and C.
Just
personnel.
A. Just A.
Just A. All right. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Poll? Favor?
Aye.
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 We're in non-public session.